60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Y'all overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because
I'm good,
you're talking out
but you're
of
not
line.
gonna disrespect
You don't know
me.
what the fuck.
Something came across the timeline. I talking about something that I didn't expect, but just real life conversations that need to be had, that need to be discussed in our circles a little bit more than what happens. Again, I could talk about other things, things that are a little bit more popular that people pay attention to a lot more, but I feel like I need to cater my specific channel onto more Black issues to be able to discuss these things and see a way to try to move forward. But let's get into it. I already watched this earlier, but again, I'm gonna give my thoughts while going through and examining what's happening. All right.
I just want to talk about in Luke. Make sure I say the name right. Pop this part out. Okay. What Luke brought up was like accountability. Like, yes, we can talk about what our families did to us, all this, all that, but eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired, and, kind of like putting onto them like, hey, like, you didn't do this entirely, because everybody in here, several people have talked about, like, going to counseling. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
I can understand where Clifton already coming from, because he's already trying to eject into what he's saying. Mind you, we understand the struggles and the nature of the Black community. The Black community has been gutted for centuries at this point, through and through. I have a video that I'm working on that goes into the reason why all this stuff is taking place, as to why we are where we are now, and we still have lingering effects from that time period, and how our people are still going through it, and it's been years, it's been hundreds of years, right? Essentially, so for us to still be going through what we're going through, these are just the lingering effects, everything that took place and that our people had to endure. Okay.
Address that real quickly for me. I didn't know fucking how to
Can I say one more thing? No, I have to say this, because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right, just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but
let me cut bro off here. Okay, cool. He looks like he's a millennial or a Gen Z, right? He looks like he's around either my age, a little bit older, or could be a little bit younger, either or. But this is the problem that I found out just recently, even when it comes to like my own self, is that because I feel like I know so much, or I feel like the information out there that we have found, or the internet era, that we know so much more than our predecessors, which is like our family, our grandparents, our mothers, our fathers, our grandfathers. We think that we know more than them. And I understand, because of the information era, we do know more technically than them, but there's things that's called life experience that I feel like a lot of us have lost track of. Heck, even I do it. When it comes to my father, I have moments of where I cut him off, and I try to defend my notion, not realizing that what he's saying could be beneficial to what is going on, but I would cut him off because, again, I have that same stigma, and because they lived longer than we did, we sometimes shun them for that. And I feel like the biggest issue in our community in particular, because you don't see this in any other groups, and that could be because a lot of things, like, for example, they're bringing up trauma, they're bringing up issues that stems from their families, our lineage, and this plays into history, but this causes the trust to be so thin between us and the people that we should be looking for guidance and information from, which is our elders. I want to be able to connect that bridge between the older generation and the younger generation, because I feel like it's paramount. People don't understand how important that is. You lose a sense of identity by cutting off the past. I'm gonna let it go, because it gets to a point of where he shows that he doesn't have his father in his life, because conversations like this gets too tough, and instead of being level-headed, you go absolute.
right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues with.
I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said, I said 60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Y'all overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because you're talking out
but you're not gonna disrespect me.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking
about.
I am.
I do.
Love it.
I do.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do. I do.
You don't know it, nigga.
That's from his mother, and you can tell. I hate to say it like this, but again, luckily for me, I'm fortunate enough to have my mother and my father in my life. Very blessed, very, very blessed. But in the Black experience, man, that isn't normal. Seeing a father and a mother being in the kid's life isn't as normal as it should be. And that's not just in Black spaces, that's in white spaces, that's in all these different cultures. Maybe like Asian and others still value family. And I think like some Latinos too. But in like Black and white in particular, that, in a lot of cases, for Blacks is worse, right? So they don't get to experience what it's like to be raised with a father. And having a father is just as paramount as having a mother. I don't want to make it seem like the mother don't have any leg to stand on. We're not going to disrespect mothers out here. But the father is just as important, especially to a young man, because that is someone that young man strives to be like.
The young Black man today is anything but invisible. He's the one who shows up in the highest unemployment rate. He's right there in the top of the crime statistics. He's the one most threatening to his Black neighbors and the one most feared in the mind of white America.
You're not understanding. You're just talking. He took that as a sign of straight, okay, well, I was right. And now he's done completely listening to anything that Mr. Powell has to say from this point on. At this point in time, it's just defensive. It gets to a point where he leaves the table because he can't handle what's being thrown at him. How do I deal with emotions if I don't have that stern rock there as a man usually is to a child?
Nigga, I do. I'm good. You don't know what the fuck you live. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga.
And he's right. This is something that I had to peep. Gen Z that I am. I have those moments with my father, and I had to refrain myself. And this is someone that has a father. I have to refrain myself sometimes to be able to hear what he's really trying to say to me. How can I tell a man that's lived through experiences way longer than I have that he's wrong, or because he did this? This man has a 20+ year marriage. He'll be able to tell you a thing or two about that. He'll be able to tell you a thing or two about what happened in communities because he was outside. He'll be able to tell you that. Most can't. And the ones that we do have that, a lot of them are strung out on drugs, a lot of them is incarcerated, and a lot of them is in unfavorable positions that they don't want to speak on it because what it did to them. This is the opportunity where you have the opportunity to be able to speak to Mr. Powell and understand where he's coming from and seeing what he's talking about. He even mentions this later in the video, but at this point, he's logged out. He's tapped out. He don't want to hear no more.
I'm living it right now. You cannot fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a...
Very true. You can't. If you don't know the history, if you don't understand the things that's happening, the nuance behind it, how can you face a problem that you don't know?
Misunderstanding.
No, but he's generalized. You can't. No, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro.
Yeah.
You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loving all this time. That's what
He even says it. Living in it and everything like that, he's looking at it from a perspective of where, he's living his life and he's seeing what's going on and he's expecting people or the Black community to be in a certain position. Now looking back on it 60, 70 years later, he's seeing the consequences of all the stuff that has led to what's happening now. And he's like, what is happening? Because he's confused just as well. A lot of this have to do with just things in the past that wasn't favorable towards the Black community, people not trusting people not trusting their elders, not looking back at history, not understanding all the stuff that's the severities of all of this and why it's gotten to this point. And I look at the guy right there, I don't know his sexuality. People were saying that he wasn't heterosexual. If that is the case, then the conversation should have died right there, because he's not even looking for women. If that's the case, again, I don't know, but I'm going off of what other people are saying. He wasn't heterosexual. And some of his mannerisms, maybe it's just that he had strong mannerisms from his mom, you know, for being around his mom, and maybe, you know, women like her, that he picked up a lot of mannerisms from it. A lot of men do it. But this conversation, if that's the case, this conversation should never even been had in the first place, because you're looking at it from your mother's perspective, which you should, but you should also look at it from the man's perspective just as well. But when you don't have that father there to be able to guide you through those things, it's almost like you get half of the experience, and it's sad, because I know many men that has that issue.
Parents have gone through, and that's why we all so fucked up right now.
You asked, how do we love black women? Yeah. That's right here. Trust black women and listen to black women, because they know,
By the way, he left the table
more than we do what it is that they need.
I don't think that's true either.
As
There's
men,
a lot of black women who don't know how to love.
I'm not talking about what they know how to love. I'm saying what they need as far as the reproduction.
I get that.
We're talking about, that's what we're talking about right now. Also, if we're going to use our privilege and power as men in society, how do we show up and be accountable, like you said?
And that's the real conversation that needs to be had. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to go at it from just a bashing women or anything like that at all, because I feel like we all had our part to play in this, and we're only dealing with the side effects of everything that has taken place for many generations. But one thing that I will do and that I will pay attention to is not trying to critique a group of individuals. And that goes for man or for woman. I want to look at it from both sides, and I really want to come to a conclusion that can lead to something greater, not just the same entire thing and we not speaking on anything. But other than that, that's kind of a tough one, but I'm gonna get into it and more later on in other videos. But other than that right there, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. You know, if you guys haven't watched my previous 2 videos, they should be somewhere like linked up on either the left or the right side. You know, go watch them. Let me know what I did, what I can do better. Under oath signing out. You guys have a blessed day. Stay safe. All right. Bye.